I was sitting in my car in the parking lot of a roadside motel, holding a camera that contained the end of my 12-year marriage. I wasn't crying. I was in shock. The neon sign above me flickered between red and blue, casting strange shadows across the dashboard. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely keep the camera steady, but I forced myself to look at the screen. I forced myself to see what I had paid a stranger to document. My husband. My best friend. Together. But this story doesn't start here, in this parking lot with my entire world collapsing around me. It starts 3 months earlier with something so small and insignificant that I almost didn't notice it at all. Sarah had been my best friend for 8 years. 8 incredible years of late-night wine sessions, of crying on each other's shoulders through breakups and makeups, of celebrating every tiny victory like it was the biggest achievement in the world. She wasn't just a friend. She was the sister I never had, the person who knew me better than I knew myself. When my husband Michael traveled for work, which happened at least twice a month, Sarah was always there. She'd show up at my door with 2 bottles of wine, a bag of those chocolate-covered pretzels I love, and we'd curl up on the couch watching crime documentaries until 2 in the morning. She knew everything about me. My childhood trauma, my secret fears, my dreams for the future, even the password to my phone. Everything. I trusted her with my life, with my marriage, with my secrets. She'd look at me sometimes with this expression I couldn't quite read and say, "You're so lucky, you know that?" Michael is one of the good ones. And I'd smile and agree, because I thought I was lucky. I thought I had found my person, and I thought I had found my best friend. I thought I had it all figured out. I was so incredibly wrong. It started with something ridiculous. A detail so small that most people would have brushed it off completely. My diamond necklace went missing. Not just any necklace, the one Michael gave me for our 10th wedding anniversary. It was beautiful, delicate, a white gold chain with a single diamond pendant that caught the light perfectly. I kept it in my jewelry drawer, wrapped in the original velvet pouch it came in. One morning, I went to put it on for a work event, and it was gone. Just gone. I tore the house apart looking for it. I checked every drawer, every pocket, every jacket I'd worn in the past month. I looked under the bed, in the laundry, even in the trash. Nothing. It had vanished. Sarah came over that afternoon to help me search. She spent 3 hours going through my closet with me, checking coat pockets and purse linings. We searched everywhere. Finally, exhausted and frustrated, I sat down on the bedroom floor and just stared at the empty jewelry drawer. Sarah sat down next to me, put her arm around my shoulders, and looked me straight in the eyes. "Honey, you probably lost it somewhere outside. Maybe it fell off at the grocery store or at work. You know how delicate those clasps can be." I remember nodding slowly, wanting to believe her. "You're probably right. I just can't believe I was so careless with something that meant so much to me." She squeezed my shoulder. "Don't beat yourself up. These things happen. Michael will understand." And I believed her. I actually believed her. But that's when other things started to change. Small things at first. Sarah started working out more. She'd always been casual about the gym, going maybe once or twice a week, but suddenly she was going every single day. And not just any gym. She joined the exact same gym that Michael went to across town, even though there were 3 closer to her apartment. When I asked her about it, she laughed it off. They had a great promotion going on. Plus, New Year's resolution and all that. I want to get in shape. It was March. Then there was the perfume. Sarah had always worn the same vanilla body spray she'd been using since college. It was her signature scent, the smell I associated with our friendship. But one day she showed up smelling completely different. Expensive, sophisticated. Tom Ford Black Orchid. I knew because it was the same perfume I'd been eyeing for months but couldn't justify spending that much money on. "New perfume?" I asked, trying to sound casual. She touched her neck self-consciously. "Oh yeah. Just felt like trying something new. You like it? It's beautiful." "Pretty expensive though." I treated myself, she said quickly. Too quickly. "I got a bonus at work." Sarah worked as a receptionist at a dental office. They didn't give bonuses. I started noticing other things too. She began dressing differently, wearing tighter clothes, lower necklines. She got her hair done at an expensive salon instead of the walk-in place we usually went to together. She was glowing in a way I couldn't quite explain. I convinced myself she was seeing someone new. That's what I told myself. She had met some guy and was too embarrassed to tell me about him for some reason. Maybe he was younger, or maybe she thought I wouldn't approve. That had to be it. But then the paranoia started. Sarah began acting jumpy, checking her phone constantly, looking over her shoulder when we were out together. She'd get text messages and her face would go pale before she quickly typed back and shoved her phone in her purse. "Is everything okay?" I asked her one afternoon when she practically jumped out of her skin at a notification. "What? Yeah, everything's fine. Why? You just seem on edge lately." "Like you're worried about something." She forced a laugh. "I'm fine, really. Just stressed about work." But I could see it in her eyes. Something was wrong. Something was scaring her. My mind went to dark places. Was someone stalking her? Was she in some kind of trouble? I lay awake at night worrying about my best friend, imagining all the terrible things that could be happening to her. I thought about confronting her, demanding she tell me what was going on, but I was afraid she'd shut me out completely. So I made a decision. A decision that I thought was protecting her but would end up destroying everything I thought I knew about my life. I couldn't stand seeing my best friend suffering in silence anymore. I couldn't stand the paranoia, the fear I saw in her eyes, the way she was constantly looking over her shoulder. Whatever was happening to her, I was going to find out and I was going to help her fix it. I hired a private investigator. His name was Mark, and he came highly recommended from a lawyer I knew from work. I met him at a coffee shop downtown, sliding an envelope of cash across the table, money I'd pulled from my personal savings account that Michael didn't know about. "I need you to follow someone," I told him, keeping my voice low. "My best friend, Sarah. I think someone might be stalking her or threatening her. She won't tell me what's going on, but I can see she's terrified of something." Mark was in his 50s, with gray hair and tired eyes that had probably seen too much. He nodded slowly, taking notes. "How long do you want me on this?" "As long as it takes to figure out what's happening to her. I just want to know she's safe." He looked at me with something like pity in his eyes, though I didn't understand why at the time. "You sure you want to know what I find?" "Sometimes the truth isn't what we expect." "I'm sure," I said firmly. "She's my best friend. I need to protect her." If only I had listened to the warning in his voice. The first 2 nights, Mark sent me text messages every couple of hours. "All clear. Nothing unusual. Subject went home at 9 p.m. I felt relieved. Maybe I was overreacting. Maybe Sarah really was just stressed about work and I was reading too much into things. But on the 3rd night, everything changed. Mark usually checked in like clockwork. 8 p.m., 10 p.m., midnight. But on that 3rd night, 10 p.m. came and went with no message. 11 p.m., nothing. By 11:30, I was pacing my living room, my phone clutched in my hand, Michael snoring softly in our bedroom upstairs. At 11:42, my phone finally rang. "You need to come here now." Mark's voice was tight, professional, but I could hear something underneath it. Anger maybe. Or disgust. "What's wrong?" Mong. Mark's voice was tight, professional, but I could hear something underneath it. Anger maybe. Or disgust. "What's wrong?" What disgust?" Mao. "Is Sarah okay? Is she hurt? Just come?" "I'm sending you the address." My hands were shaking as I grabbed my keys. I told myself to stay calm, that whatever was happening, I would handle it. I would help Sarah through whatever trouble she was in. That's what best friends do. The drive took 23 minutes. 23 minutes where my mind went through every possible scenario. Sarah being confronted by an abusive ex. Sarah being threatened by someone from her past. Sarah being followed by some creep from the gym. Never once did my mind go to the truth. Because the truth was so unthinkable, so impossible, that my brain couldn't even consider it. The motel was exactly the kind of place you see in movies. Cheap, anonymous, the kind of place where people go when they don't want to be seen. The neon sign buzzed and flickered, casting sickly colored light across the wet parking lot. It had rained earlier, and everything smelled like wet asphalt and regret. Mark was leaning against his car when I pulled up. He didn't say hello. He didn't ask how I was doing. He just pointed across the parking lot to a silver SUV parked in front of room 117, the silver SUV I had washed by hand that very morning. The silver SUV with the small dent in the back bumper from when Michael had backed into a pole at the grocery store. The silver SUV that belonged to my husband. I felt the world tilt sideways. "No," I whispered. "No, that can't be." Mark held out his camera without a word. I took it with numb fingers. The screen glowed in the darkness and I pressed play on the video file. There they were, walking out of the motel room together. Sarah and Michael. My best friend and my husband. But it wasn't just that they were together. It was how they were together. Michael's arm was around her waist. Familiar, comfortable, like he'd done it 1,000 times before. She was laughing at something he'd said. Her head thrown back, her hand on his chest. They weren't sneaking. They weren't guilty. They looked like a couple. A happy couple. And then I saw it. Around Sarah's neck, catching the light from the motel sign, was my diamond necklace. The one that had disappeared. The one she had helped me search for. The one she had looked me in the eyes and told me I must have lost. She was wearing it while she laughed at my husband's jokes, while his hands were on her body. While they walked out of that motel room together. Mark scrolled to the photos. Dozens of them. Michael and Sarah kissing in the parking lot. Michael's hand in her hair. Sarah's arms around his neck. Both of them so comfortable with each other, so natural, so clearly not new to this. How long? How long had this been going on while I sat in my house, worried sick about her, thinking I was protecting my best friend from some imaginary threat? How many times had she sat on my couch, drinking my wine, listening to me talk about my marriage, all while sleeping with my husband? I felt something rising in my chest. Rage. Pure, hot rage like I'd never felt before. I moved toward the motel room. I don't even remember deciding to do it. My body just started moving, pulled by fury and betrayal and the need to destroy something. Mark caught my arm. His grip was firm, almost painful. "Don't," he said quietly. "Let me go." My voice didn't sound like my own. "If you go in there right now, you know what's going to happen. He's going to cry. He's going to tell you it was a mistake, that it only happened once, that he loves you and he'll do anything to make it right. And you know what? Part of you is going to want to believe him. Part of you is going to want to forgive him because that's easier than blowing up your entire life." I was shaking, tears finally starting to stream down my face. What am I supposed to do then? Just let them get away with it? Mark's expression was hard. "You want to destroy them? Really destroy them? Then you wait. You plan. You make sure when you strike, they can't recover from it." I stood there in that parking lot, Mark's hand still on my arm, watching the light in room 117. I could see their shadows moving behind the curtain, laughing, touching, living a whole separate life while I stood outside in the rain. And that's when something cold settled over me. Something calm and calculating that I didn't know I was capable of. I drove home in complete silence. No radio, no crying. Just the sound of my tires on the wet road and my mind working through everything I'd seen, everything I now knew. I got home at 1:30 in the morning. I changed into my pajamas, washed my face, brushed my teeth. I laid down in our bed, the bed I shared with a stranger, and I closed my eyes. At 2:17 a.m., I heard his car in the driveway. I heard him trying to be quiet as he came through the door, as he climbed the stairs, as he slipped into the bathroom to shower. He smelled like her perfume. That expensive Tom Ford perfume I couldn't justify buying for myself, but apparently my husband had no problem buying for his mistress. He climbed into bed next to me, probably thinking I was asleep. And then he did something that made my blood run cold. He kissed my forehead, gentle, tender, like a loving husband. "Love you," he whispered into the darkness. I kept my breathing steady, my eyes closed, my body still. And in that moment, I made my decision. I wasn't going to confront him. Not yet. I wasn't going to scream or cry or throw his clothes out on the lawn. I wasn't going to give him the chance to lie to my face, to manipulate me, to make me doubt what I knew to be true. No, I was going to wait. In 2 weeks, our company was having its annual anniversary dinner. A huge event with everyone from the office, their spouses, their partners. It was the kind of event where appearances mattered, where people dressed up and took photos and posted them all over social media. Sarah would be there. She'd been my plus one to these events before, back when Michael was too busy or traveling. Everyone knew her. Everyone loved her. She was practically part of the company family. I smiled in the darkness, a smile that would have frightened me if I could have seen it. Let them have their affair. Let them think they're safe, that I'm blind, that I'm the naive little wife who doesn't see what's happening right under her nose. In 2 weeks, in front of everyone we know, in front of our colleagues and friends and family, I was going to make sure the whole world saw exactly who they really were. And I was going to make sure they could never come back from it.